Hello, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Content Supply Live. Today, it's just Kate and I here, and we're going to talk a little bit about the creator led brand movement and then also Coachella a little bit. So, I guess since Coachella is a more exciting topic, let's lead off with that. I know that there's been a lot of drama this last weekend, just with long lines and different brands and different acts and everything. So, do you want to break that down a little bit, Kate? Do you want to give like a rundown of like Coachella, like what you've seen in the news,
Mhm.
what's trending?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Coachella is everyone jokes about it as being like the influencer Olympics, but it's certainly true. And I also think that it is almost like a second brand Olympics. I feel like the Super Bowl is definitely like the Olympics for big brands, but I would say Coachella is like a good runner up. We were just talking about how in recent years brands have really taken the opportunity to kind of advertise during these trips, but it's always very specific brands. So we'll talk about a little bit more about that in a minute. But first off, um, Coachella itself has definitely gotten in some hot water. I feel like in the last recent years over safety concerns, and this year was no different. TikTok blew up on over the weekend, and creators were talking about how horrible the lines were to get into the festival. There were people that ended up having to wait over 12 hours in their car just trying to get in because for some reason the logistics of the festival were not set up properly. And so people were waiting in their cars for 12 hours, which is a scary long time. And then you add in the desert heat on top of that, and people were just kind of losing it and getting, yeah, there were ambulances called. Um, yeah, people doing some not so sanitary things in order to relieve themselves in the desert heat. So I would say this is kind of par for the course with Coachella. I feel like every year something like this happens where um some logistical thing breaks down and people have a lot to say about it. But Justine, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Coachella is super interesting and just like festival, like these big festivals in general, because so many brands just pay for creators, pay for influencers to attend this, and I feel like Coachella, like a while ago, like 10 years ago, it was mostly like, I mean, there were like celebrities and stuff there, but then there were also like just like normal people that attended Coachella as well. But now I feel like it's mostly just influencers and like smaller celebrities that attend Coachella. I mean, you have like the main acts, like this year I saw that like Benson Boone performed, Charlie XCX, stuff like that. But I feel like it's really just a time that like a bunch of influencers and people in the media can just get together, which I think is interesting. I don't know. I love concerts myself, but going to Coachella sounds like an absolute nightmare to me.
It's true. It is funny though, like you were saying about the brands. This is, yeah, I would say within the last like 5, 6 years, brand trips have become more of a thing for Coachella.
Mhm.
But I feel like that's really where um the luxury or the shine, I guess, of Coachella is because people look at those brand trips and they obviously are a lot nicer than car camping or just sleeping in the desert. So it definitely creates this alert to Coachella that I think when people go in real life and they're not hosted by a brand, the reality is a lot different. But I've seen a lot of great brands this year host great from what looked like really successful trips. Some of those being Dove, Revlon, Kendall Jenner's brand 818 had a really fun trip, and LaCroix. So you can tell that these brands are definitely more geared towards, I would say, like the Gen Z slash millennial women with maybe some more like discretional income. That's kind of who their target audience is. And it's honestly genius, I think, that these brands set up these luxury trips for influencers to go on because it kind of kills two birds with one stone. Um, One, you're getting to get free content from the, or not free content, but get solid content from these creators. And two, you get your brand blasted on TikTok and people are just seeing it, but in a way that doesn't feel super salesy. More
Mhm.
of just like, oh my gosh, like how cool and fun this brand is. Like they're totally in step with our generation. So I think it's always really fun to see like what different brands do for their trips. But I would say 818 Kendall Jenner's brand this year took the cake for me. I thought their branding was super great. Their house looked awesome, and their influencers that they chose were great as well.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And it's definitely like certain brands that choose to like sponsor these trips because we were talking a little bit about it earlier and we were like, yeah, you don't see like Home Depot or like McDonald's like sponsoring brand trips for like these influencers to go. Because that just doesn't really fit in their, wheelhouse. I feel like it would be kind of weird if like an influencer is sponsored by Home Depot and they were going on a brand trip to Coachella. Like that just doesn't
I would
it
love to
just
see that.
doesn't fit.
Mhm.
But where you think of like these different events like the Super Bowl, Home Depot sponsors people to go to the Super Bowl. They sponsor like different ads and stuff. That totally like makes sense. Um, but anyways, it's just interesting that way. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm interested to see what else goes on. So Coachella was this last weekend, and then it's also happening again next weekend too. So what would that be like the 18th?
Mhm.
Um, anyways, so yeah, stay tuned. Maybe we'll talk about a little bit more about what is happening next weekend as well. Um, but let's talk a little bit about creator-led brand movements. So lately, there's been a lot of creators that are evolving from more of like the influencers or YouTubers into full-fledged brand owners and like distribution powerhouses. A couple of them that I'm thinking of are like Meghan Markle, um, Mr. Beast, Kendall, uh, the Jenners, really. There's just a whole lot of people that are doing this. Alex Earl, Emma Chamberlain, all of these. So, what do you think the benefits are for like influencers or just other like YouTubers and creators into creating these like big like brand powerhouses?
Mhm. Yeah, this is a fun topic to talk about because I feel like I know a lot of creators that did this really well, and then also a lot of creators that did this and maybe flopped a little bit. But I feel like the pull to do it is to diversify their streams of income, especially when a lot of these creators are living on borrowed platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. One algorithm change can completely change their income streams, and they could be, I don't know, destitute if Instagram decided to shadow ban them or something. So I
Mhm.
feel like that's where a lot of these brands come in. But another big part of their poll is that you already have like a built-in audience. So if you have, I don't know, 10 million followers across platforms, you already have trust from your audience and you already have their attention. So it's a lot easier to sell them something than if you were just a brand with no face to it. And I would say also people follow those creators for their authenticity. And so if they are putting their name behind a product, people are more likely to trust it if they have followed that creator for a while and tend to trust what they say. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, it's definitely easier to like build an audience when you already have like 10 million people that are following you, anyways. I was listening to this podcast, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, and they were talking about like Meghan Markle's like new brand and everything, like her
Mhm.
website, her new TV show, and everything. I'm not sure if any of you have watched it. I have not had the opportunity. I don't know if you have, Kate,
Oh, I
but
have. I'm a Megan
oh, have you?
apologist.
Yes.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting because they were talking about, I think she's selling, like, jam on her website, like, raspberry
Mhm.
spread on her website,
Yep.
and it sold out, like, within, like, probably 20 minutes of it being live, and I
I
just
did
think
see
that
that,
that's
yeah.
really I just think it's really interesting because, like, I don't know, like Meghan Markle, like I watched her on like Suits and like other shows. I mean, she's like the Duchess of what is it?
Duchess of
I don't know.
Sussex.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Yes.
So anyway, she already has like all of this huge following and everything. People are watching her new TV show. People might start listening to her new podcast. I don't know. I know that she's having like she's starting a new podcast too.
Mhm.
So it's just interesting how like these creators that really have nothing to do with like, like making jam or
Mhm.
I don't know, just like nothing to do like in this wheelhouse can go turn around and make like millions and millions of dollars um on a product that like they're
Mhm.
just selling on their website and people are just buying because oh, Meghan Markle is making jam, so I'm just going to go buy some jam from her website. So I think it's interesting that way.
Yeah.
But what other
Yeah, I
brands
do
have you seen?
wonder,
Go ahead.
yeah. I was gonna say I do wonder with, the sellout so As Ever is the name of Megan's brand.
Mhm.
I do wonder if that selling out so quickly was I wonder if some brands use the strategy of they just limit the inventory, and so when things sell out, it's like, "Oh, we had 100 bottles of jam," and of course it's sold out. I
Yeah.
think I wonder if maybe that's what happened, but I guess that's just the skeptic in me. But I
Mhm.
could see brands doing that because it's not a great look when an influencer launches a brand. People already have like a distaste for influencers and don't think that their job is I guess people feel like frustrated or annoyed by them in general. And so to see a brand flop, I think people hop on that train a lot. So I do think that's a tactic that people use is they like limit the inventory and then when it sells out, people just think it's like super successful. So but I would say that the brands that I have seen do this the best are often the brands where their face isn't the main branding of it. And it's like
Mhm.
a little bit more subtle. So I know I mentioned Kendall Jenner's tequila brand 818 a little bit ago. That is a brand that I feel like does that really well because she's not the face of it, but the branding kind of still matches her aesthetic. Same with oh, it's called The Row. It's Mary-Kate and Ashley's brand. They are do not advertise they're not like in the branding or the advertising of it much, but I feel like it's a really successful brand because once again it still matches their aesthetic. And people still do associate them together. So, um I'm curious to see if that happens with Meghan Markle's brand as well. I think she is a little bit I mean, she obviously does promote it a ton, but she isn't necessarily the face of the brand.
Mhm.
But it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Um, but yeah, I always think it's super interesting. I I feel like there are definitely like risks to having creator owned brands. Sometimes it can be really hard to scale if you are the face of that brand. You can't like really white label that or sell that off and have someone else run it because you have to be so involved every day
Mhm.
in it. So, um, that's interesting. Like, you can't really sell off Mr. Beast Feastables to another creator
Yeah.
because he is the face of it. So, I think scalability can definitely be an issue, but overall, I think if creators do this right and they do their research with manufacturers and make sure that they have good partners and make their branding a little bit more subtle, I think that's a roadmap to success.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I think it's really smart too when like they aren't like the face of the brand, but like the brand is still like associated with the person. Um,
Mhm.
and because like when you think of like Mr. Beast, like Feastables and everything, like he could never really like sell that off. Like let's say he got bored of it one day, like he couldn't really sell that off and still make money from it because people are buying it because it's a Mr. Beast brand. Um, and like nobody
Mhm.
else could really take that from him, which could be a risk. But also, I mean, I don't know how long like some of these like different brands will be be around for, or how long like the creators want the brands to be around for. I don't know if they're wanting them to be around for like 50 plus years or not. Um, if they are, then maybe they should like update their different strategies and all of that. But anyways, do you have anything else to add on like these type of brands?
Oh, I'm looking forward to weekend 2 of Coachella. Who
Yeah,
knows what other drama's gonna happen?
I know
I'm
it'll be
sitting pretty
exciting.
in my AC.
Yes, yeah, I
I'm
know.
glad I'm not
Mhm.
there.
Yes, like indoor plumbing and yeah, not having to
Yeah.
like store in public. So yeah, I'm looking forward to
Yes.
that too. But yeah, maybe next week we can have some like videos to react on and stuff like that from Coachella, and maybe get some audience feedback as well. So all right. Well, that is today's episode of Content Supply Live. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comments. And if you have any topic ideas for us to discuss, let us know. And we will talk to you next time. Bye. All right.
Okay, perf. I feel like I had a slow start. I was like, ew.